It was 2009 when the Warriors almost won the championship. But, cut to the present, 2011, Warriors are champions. That's right, Girls Division IV champions. The Warriors came in, they got the game, they got the title, they got the trophies, they got the respect, they got it all. Just an incredible season. Everybody, I'm here with our very own Maggie, who is joining us once again, filling in for Joe. And she is here on a very special episode of WSST, where we are actually going to cover the Warriors and their championship run. So we're going to actually be talking about a couple of the playoff games that they had, and then we're going to just kind of, actually I think we're going to have to unfortunately see the one known as Prime Time, who will be in our player spotlight. So we'll be getting to that, so stay tuned. We'll show you some of the stuff we've got, and we'll be right back. And we are back, finally, because it's only been, what, since the last episode, like 4 months, 5 months? And at least I have better company, you know, because we are right now in the new WSST studios, and Joe is missing out on this. So I think it's only fitting that we have one of our former players, hopefully a current player again, Dave Ellard, if you're watching this. Maggie is on the Warriors, right here in our studio. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
We won't tell anybody that our sports desk is a door, but that's just our secret. So let's start talking about the fact that we are champions. Did you like that?
Well, what was that?
Oh, that's my champions flair. Champions. Isn't that cool?
Where is that coming from?
It's just the magic of television.
Oh my gosh.
So let's talk about the Blue Streaks game, which was our first playoff game. You were there for that game on the sidelines. Yes. This is not the same Blue Streaks game or team that I'm used to. I can go all the way back to 2009. I remember beating up the Blue Streaks every game we had. We blew them out of the water. It was huge scoring against them. Their defense never kept up with us. And it was repeat. 2009, 2010, this year, something happened. They got some new talent in there. I know like a couple of the players on the team. Angela and Shauna, they're from the travel team. I'm sure they helped out a lot. I mean, that was a key factor there. But these games, they were all close. I mean, we had one that was 4-0. The next one was
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. And then we get into the playoff game, and we started at 0-0 for a long time in this game, until there was that amazing goal.
Yes.
Who made that amazing goal?
That was Katie. I have no idea how she did that.
And in fact, I did my little thing after that, because when she got her leg up somehow, she was right in front of the goal, the ball rebounded, and it popped in. Everybody went nuts because we finally scored.
I didn't even know she scored until I saw it in there.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I mean, I just turned around, looked right at the camera, and do my little ESPN thing, which we'll probably see in a moment. And then back-to-back from that, Britt scored the next one, I believe. And there's another player we should mention. I don't really talk about her too much because she's my daughter, but we used to use her on defense for years.
Yeah.
Always was a support player. Transitioned her to attacking midfield and even up on offense. And what happens? She starts scoring left and right. I mean, she's actually tied for second this season for regular season goals. It's a big change. And actually even talking a little bit beyond the Warriors, on the travel team, that's what she's doing. She's doing some of the indoor stuff. We did a couple tournaments with her. She was up there scoring again. It's not the same Brit that we used to just say, go stand by the goal, you know? But what's nice, and this is through some of the help from Coach Tim from Normandy, he started telling me, he says, you got to move her up, And I'm like, well, that's my security blanket. I don't know. But she, and like what we want to do with everybody is we don't want everybody just in one spot anymore. You got to be able to move around, and that's really important because when you talk about moving up to the high school level, which you're probably heading there.
Everywhere.
Yeah, you have to. If you say you're a great defender and you walk in and Valley Forge, I was at a coach's clinic. Their coach told me, he says, okay, I have a defender that comes walking up to me and says, I was really good. We won all these rec championships. I'm a defender. And he's like, well, that's great, good for you, but I have this all-state champion level player right here. You really think you're going to beat her for that? that's the point that he made, was make sure that they could do other things too. Britt's pretty universal. Madison, we're going to start kicking her around. I mean, there's a couple games. You saw what I did to your sister. I said, you know what? Let's go try offense for a little bit.
Face,
you know?
whenever you said that, she was like, "Oh yeah, I get to go
right.
somewhere else."
And on the flip side, there was Madeline who went, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Zone.
Right? You got to do it." And actually, it was her first year playing soccer ever. So some props to her. I mean, I have to admit, the last 2 games, the defense was great. I got to see Angela lay Brittany out in the mud. That was worth it to me right there. Right in front of me, too. So that was a lot of fun. We just segued back into the game, didn't we? That was pretty smooth. But yeah, we'll talk about the game. Mackenzie, she got another goal because, ultimately we did score 3 goals in the Blue Streaks game. And it was good to see Mackenzie finally come back. She was in a little bit of a scoring drought this year. And, we've got to give Mackenzie a lot of credit. She deals with a lot of things on and off the field. She was able to come back in, and she still plays just as hard as ever. I mean, I've had her since 2009. I'm glad to have her. She's a key player. She'll be back for 2012, so that'll be interesting. But, again, with this game, I mean, it was a flawless game. Sarah, most amazing saves I've seen from her. She stepped in, Sarah took over as a goalie because we were actually able to flip around a lot of goalies this year. We started with Alyssa, which was our goalie from 2010. We moved her around the defense a little bit. I believe when we transitioned Sarah in there, we also used Miranda a bit too. Yeah. Miranda surprised me too.
She can drop kick.
She can. She can. And she's a hockey player. And it's nice because when she's out there, she's trying to score and everything, but I watch her and she does hockey picks on people. You can kind of see her put her arm up. Fortunately, she doesn't get called for it, and she's not trying to lay anybody out, but it's great to have her there too, because when we didn't have Sarah, we used Miranda in there, and you know what? She did fine too. I mean, our record speaks for itself. We had 2 ties against the Phoenix, our notorious rival from this year. And every other game, it was win. So, we were really looking at an undefeated season here. The second one for the Warriors, I mean, in 2009, we opened the show. I was flashing, had a little bit of flashback time there. But in 2009, we swept everybody, hands down. It was just totally Warrior-sided. We get into the championship, and what happens in a shootout?
They get cocky and...
Yeah, we lost it in the shootout. But that happens, And back then, Caitlin was the goalie.
Happens to everyone.
There's another player, Caitlin. She used to be a goalie.
Yeah.
We moved her around. Your sister Madison used to be a goalie.
Yeah.
We moved her around. She's up on defense, moving around. And things with, like what your sister's doing, she's doing things away from it. You're doing travel now, so you're gaining more experience. In fact, you're already doing 10v10, right?
Maybe even 11v11.
Yeah, 11v11. That's right, because you're U13, right, for Parma? Yeah, so that's a big key difference. This year I think in rec we're still going to be doing the traditional 8v8.
Yeah.
But from there on, I mean, they're going to be increasing it, and then I think you go into Division 6 will be co-ed if you go that far with it, but we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know how much longer we'll be able. We're going to squeeze time out of the Warriors. Hopefully, get another year after 2012. But what's really special about this year and going into next is that core group that we've had for years. I'm able to keep them together. I still consider you in the core group because whether you're playing for the team or not, you're right there on the sideline. In fact, Maggie always keeps my statistics for me. And actually, I think Madison's going to be tracking them in a computer next season.
She'll have them all logged in.
Right.
We won't have this whole mess of papers.
Right, yeah, no more papers. We're just going to cue to Madison, and she's just going to type it up on a computer and be like, yes, it is this many. It'll make it easy. Back to the game, though, we ended 3-1. So, again, the scores were?
Katie won, Brittany won, Mackenzie won, and the Blue Streaks won.
And the Blue Streaks won. But it was a great game. I remember the field conditions were really, really muddy.
They were.
Yeah, this whole season was really rough on everyone. There was a lot of rain. It was like spring never stopped. We had our summer break and it dried up, but then we got back into it again, and it was just terrible field conditions. Thank goodness they didn't call any games because myself and a lot of the other coaches were just, let's just play. Let's just get the game going.
Let's play through the rain. Let's just
Yeah,
Get
we
done.
just. So what if it's muddy? It's going to stay muddy for another 2 weeks. It's not going to matter. But that's one thing in our season video is I had to get that close-up shot.
Yes.
For those who don't know, at the end of every season, we did it with the Warriors a couple years. The Spartans, we also give them a team video. We just highlight some of the footage that we use on WSST. We give it to them to keep forever. But one of the things I did for the Warriors, I'm trying to get an Academy Award or whatever you want to call it for it, but I ended it really dramatically. And there was some good music.
It almost made me cry.
There were tears. I know Ivana's mom was bawling, but they got to understand when it's something that important. I did that back in 2009. I was like, you know what? I know what kind of music to apply to the end of that. We were close, but we didn't get it. This time we won it. So we had to remember it. And the big thing with this one is Field 3. I don't think it's going to be this year, but eventually the field that we won on, they're going to tear it down, put a baseball diamond, move it to the other side. So the original place we won will actually be used for baseball, but it's a good keepsake. We'll be able to remember it there.
We'll get a baseball championship there too then.
That works for me. I like the sound of that. We'll all be a lot older, but hey, why not? Then all of you girls will be on the Huff and Puff League like me. So, but yeah, so that was it was a great game. Congratulations on the Warriors winning the first round. And actually, speaking of the Warriors, I think we got to get to our player spotlight.
I think so too.
The player spotlight, of course, is the one and only. Gets her ego from her dad, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, we're going to talk to Brittany Primetime Smith, and you're going to see exactly what happened to this girl. Her head went like this. Twice as big as her dad's.
No. I gotta say it's rough there.
That's right, because I still am Coach of the Year. I don't care if it was for 2010, but that lasts forever. So now I have to introduce myself as, hi, I'm Coach Craig, Coach of the Year 2010, 2011 Championship Coach. Yeah, I love it. I wear this all the time, I mean, I actually hit it one day, we're doing an indoor game, and I'm helping Coach Tony from the Phoenix. I unzip my coat. I'm like, hey, you remember that? So I had some fun with them. But so let's go take a look at Britt, and we'll be right back in a little while here. And over to you, Prime Time. Hi, everyone. I am here with our player spotlight featuring the one and only Brittany Smith, otherwise known as Primetime. Now, Brittany is also my daughter, and I believe that you received some of this ego from your father, if I'm not mistaken. What's with the bling?
Yeah, it's me.
It's you, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Brittany, or Primetime, Miss Prime, we brought you on the show because we wanted to learn a little something about you. So,
Of course you did.
one of the big things that happened this past season, other than winning the championship, is somebody moved from defense
To offense.
That's right. And what started happening?
I started scoring.
You started scoring. The other thing that you seem to do naturally is, on a serious note, is your corner kicks are usually right on. I call you
know.
I call you 90% because 9 out of every 10 are right in front of the net. But you know what? Recently you haven't really had a bad one. So I'd say that you've gotten pretty well, 10 for 10 now. Mm-hmm. You think so? And you actually, in travel, you actually scored one. You actually hooked it because one thing that Brittany has been doing a little bit here, and Dave Ellert kind of helped her with it, I'm focusing on it, is Brittany kind of emulates David Beckham. That's your soccer idol. One of the things that David Beckham does is, if you ever heard the phrase bend it like Beckham, David actually hits the ball in a unique way with his foot. He's up underneath it. It's very symbol-esque. If you play golf and you're using a pitching wedge, there's a certain you come up underneath it. The ball's going to have a certain spin to it. That's what he does with a soccer ball. If you ever watch highlights of how David Beckham plays, his kick will actually go far right, and then it suddenly hooks back in. And that's what Brittany's been working on. She pulled one off on a corner kick. And you've actually been trying a couple just, as we goof around and everything. Now that the spring is here, one thing that her and I are going to do is, get a ton of soccer balls and really just kick, and keep trying to master it and everything. In which case she would become, the free kick master of the team, not unlike David Beckham does. But Brittany actually, and I don't mean to talk for you, But Brittany actually plays a very European style of soccer, which I really like the best about you. Brittany thinks very technical, and she's a technical player. And a smart player, and that's what Europeans do. It's not always just about the shooting and everything. She'll guide her attackers, and you move up, and she'll pop the ball up in the air and try to send in the forwards to try and go get the ball and score in. So she's focused on assists. But, one of the shots that she made this year was probably about that far from the midline.
No, that far from $50.
That far, yeah, that's right. I said I'd give her $50 if she ever made a goal from the halfway mark of the field. She came pretty close, but she gets enough. I mean, right? You get a lot of stuff. But she almost did it. It was a great shot. It was an amazing shot for me to see. And she made the goal. And one thing that if we go all the way back in time, especially like 2009, because that was when your kicking seemed to do something that it never did before. You've always been known to be able to clear the ball out as a defender. And the ball would go all the way down the field. I mean, it's not just a kick. I mean, you hear the thud, and everybody knows that Brittany can clear it out. One of the things that Coach Tim from Normandy told me was you need to play her up. And I never thought about that. I always said, Brittany's a defender. When she's in the backfield, I don't have to worry about anything. And you know what, though, is we did a transition. Her first transition was to take a penalty kick, and you got to go your first big goal since 2008.
Pink Thunder.
Right, and she made the goal. And then from there, we pushed her up, and then, things happen. And, one of the things that we've been doing in the opposite, with travel, she's an attacking mid, which I like. Not unlike David Beckham. David Beckham is a right midfielder. Brittany is more like a center mid-attacker who will move up with the offense when she needs to, which is nice because you have a natural aptitude to read what's going on. And that's a big challenge for her this year because with the Warriors, we're playing 11v11 for upcoming for 2012, and you're going to be guiding your offense. So that's some of the things that you got to keep in mind. But tell me how it was for you to transition from defense to offense.
Well, I was nervous at first because I have asthma, so I was scared it was going to kick in all the time and I'd lose a whole bunch of play time because I wouldn't be able to run. And it started working pretty well, and if I got tired, there was always people to pass to.
Right.
So it was pretty easy. I could go for the goal or I could
Right.
pass it off.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because not a lot of people know that Brittany does have asthma. Brittany's a great example of you can play soccer with asthma. There are things for you to do. And we used to play it safe with you. We kept you on defense, but then she started moving up and running and we found out it's not really bothering you. We keep an eye on her, right? There's sometimes that she'll signal me and say, okay, I got to take a break. But players that are out there, please listen to this. Brittany has asthma. Don't think because you have asthma that you can't play soccer, because you can. There's always a place for you. If you've got to stay back on the defense because you don't really feel comfortable running around, stay back on the defense. Tell your coach.
Important.
It's a very important part. If you ask Brittany, look at it this way. Brittany, for 2 years, stayed back on defense and did not once come to me and complain. And I'm even her dad, and she could have said something at home saying, I want to get a goal, I want to get a goal. She never once asked me about that. And it wasn't until Tim Vaughn said, play you up.
Well, if you think about it, defense can win a game because the offense can score all they want, but if the other team's scoring on you too, it's not going to make a difference.
That's true. And that's an important part. And that, again, your teammates react to that because even though she's a little blingy right now, and this is, she's got her prime time for, part, but Brittany is Brittany. And she's a team player, and she doesn't hold herself above the other players. She doesn't act above. She's with everybody. It's an even game. And like I said, you'll just as much set up an assist as you would take a goal.
Well, yeah, they're just as important.
Right. And she'll fall back to defense. In fact, in games that if the score does run up, we've always had the tradition that we mix everybody up. Let some of the people, some of your teammates who don't always score play forward.
That's how I got my goal.
Exactly, and that's what we did. It was a mixture, and then we learned something about you. But what is there anything else that you do other than soccer?
Well,
I know what you do. Of course you go to school. You had your hand in volleyball.
Yeah, I played volleyball.
What was your nickname in volleyball? I believe I nicknamed you part-time, right? Because she didn't always hit the ball the way she
Yes,
needed to. So
sometimes.
prime time was part time, but that's okay. She makes it up in soccer. Because, really for you, I mean, we transitioned right into travel and then we went right into indoor. So there was a lot of different things going on. So it's really, you haven't really done too much other than volleyball.
We'll play.
You do, you do the play at school, and you're active at the church. You help out there, so, you've acolyted and everything too. So there are other things.
Soccer's my main thing.
That's your main thing, that's right.
I don't know what I just did.
That's right. But, one thing that Brittany is wearing today is the new and improved upcoming 2012 Warriors uniform. We are going all black. Of course, Olympus or Hi-Fi, I can't remember who has our jersey, but they discontinued the style that we've used since 2008. So we had an opportunity to do a change, and
I like it.
yeah, I like it too. It's all black, it's going to be different. It's cool. We've actually got 3 colors on it. There's a little white in there, so we're going to have white numbers and everything. And for any of the players watching right now that might be new to the team, you got something to look for. Anybody who's coming back, we're going to look pretty cool. And you actually, we had an awards night. Brittany came out and did her little thing and showed it off. I think we had a little AC/DC blasting for you there, back in black. That was a great time.
Oh, it's fitting, black.
That's right. But how does it feel to finally get a championship?
It's a relief because
It's a relief?
as you basically these 2 next years possibly for anyone who we can keep with us are going to be preparing us for what we're going to be playing in high school. So that's not exactly always going to be focused on let's get a championship.
Right.
So it was nice to get one before we have to go to where we might not be best
That's
at.
true. That's true. And actually, I mean, you've been with the team since we started. I mean, we remember 2009 at the end of the season. We were undefeated. We dominated every game. We had our rivalry with
The
the Rockets. And then we really just, I can remember going into the championship game, everybody had the mentality of, we're just going to win.
We were overconfident because we beat them twice and we weren't as focused on trying to play. They scored on us. We got lucky and we got a penalty kick.
Right.
It went into a shootout and we just weren't as lucky
Right.
as we could have
It was tricky. It was tricky. But we learned from it. We still partied after we lost. I mean, it was still a great season. It was our undefeated season. And actually, one of the things about 2009 is, there's a core group of us. That was when Rebecca came in, and Caitlin came in, and Mackenzie came in. All the players that kind of are like the base of the team started then, and we always kind of, a lot of times we look at it and just say 2009 was really like the first time that the Warriors were like the Warriors, There was a camaraderie there that we didn't have in 08. I mean, 2008, there was Livy, Brittany, Lexi, Izzy, who came back this year, which was great that she got to share a championship with us, but Ivana was there. The starts of the team were there, but then the finishing touches came in later. And then you go to 2010, 2011.
And back to being overconfident in 09, when we went into the Phoenix game, they were overconfident. They were like, we're going to beat them. Yeah, we did hear stuff,
We both tied them. And Coach Tony, I remember you updated your webpage for the team and said that they were the 2011 champions. Sorry, man, you had to change your graphic. And,
but
we
were ready to go, and win or lose, we were going to get medals, we were going to have fun.
Right. We actually went into it as that we have accomplished something, we're in the championship game, and we were very relaxed. I mean, I remember, there was a little bit of nerves there, but, I think it was very specific to you girls. I just said, this is your game, it's up to you to take the win, do what you've been doing, and just go out there and have some fun.
And not just winning, it's an honor to get into the championship.
It is.
Because then you have the memory of playing in a championship. And actually, it's also nice to have the memory of losing, too, because now we know...
We know what it feels like on the other side.
Yeah, and we know that we've gotten better since we actually won.
And one of the things that we didn't do was, it was like in your face, Phoenix, we just won. It was, come on, come take a picture with us. It was the same thing. The big surprise this season was the Blue Streaks.
The first game we played them, we beat them 4-0. In the second game, they beat us the whole first half, and then
we
the second half we came back, we scored 2, they only had 1.
And then there was the playoff game. They were a different team.
Playoff game, it was 3-1. They got much better.
You can actually say that we went through 2 championship games in a row that were equally as hard because, it's like it's not the old Blue Streaks. There was a time that we really never were worried about them. You know, but they've done a heck of a job creating a really strong contending
I
game.
mean, I went into the playoff game nervous because they are a good team.
Yeah, I remember being nervous too. I was like,
Yeah.
man, this is going to be a tough game. But, you know, we all came through. But I tell you what, you know, they stayed in Division 4. I would love to have played them again this year, just because it was really intense games, you know.
Yeah.
It was totally different, you know. It was a lot of fun. And I think we talked about the blue streaks here when Maggie and I were talking a little bit, so we touched on it. But it's nice that you mentioned that too. You know, Brittany has a huge respect for competition. One thing that we should say is, as much as there was a rivalry created in 2009 with the Rockets, and it was it was a tough rivalry, and then it carried on into 2010. 2010, it was we were out for revenge. Everybody's like, we are never letting them score on us, and they were tough games. But you know what happened is actually with a couple of their players, we started it wasn't like it used to be when the game was over. It was like, you know, here's your high five and walk away.
I remember
We started talking to some of them.
Yeah, I remember this year, the whole one game we played against them. The coach's daughter, Ashlyn, we were going at it, me and her, the whole game. And after the game, she told me, "Nice job, good game," and I said the same thing back to her.
That's it. I'm glad you mentioned that because Ashlyn is Coach Jeff's daughter, and I do remember that game. And you would almost think that the two were just hated each other's guts. The way they were playing each other, the way there was, you know, a little bit of smack talk, nothing bad, but there was smack talk. Immediately after this game was over, for Ashlyn to come up to Brittany, impress Brittany enough, and now we're trying to say, oh, it'd be nice to play together, so maybe we'll do some tournaments. Maybe the Warriors will get her, you never know. I mean, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
and Jeff and I, Coach Jeff and I, we actually, you know, we formed a friendship over this too, because I remember as the playoffs went on, or we got close to it, we would play each other. We played each other in that monsoon, the game that got called short, but you know, it's as you go on through years, and I say this to not just the players but to other coaches, you're going to form friendships with everybody. Kelly Fry from Coach Kelly from the Tsunami and I are really good friends. You and his daughter Eliza are good friends.
Yeah,
we love to talk to each other.
We would play them, and even though we're against each other and it's during the game, they would say, "Nice kick," you know.
Right, it's compliments. And keep in mind, it's all about sportsmanship. I mean, especially on the level that you are. You're not in the pros. You know, the pros, there's some smack talk. We can flash back. Nobody liked David Beckham when he started. That guy, he would fall down and then he'd trip you for falling him, and then he'd get kicked out. But, you know, you don't want that in rec. You want to have fun in rec. You know, help each other up. I mean, even though the whistle has to blow, you're not going to be able to help each other up all the time, but just have that mutual respect. Have some fun with it. When the whistle's over, it's over. You know, have the etiquette that goes with the sport. It's really, really important. I mean, as flashy as you are now, Brittany is one of the nicest kids I know. Her friends on the team, they're the same way. And it, you know, I'm proud of that. That after a game, no matter what happens on the field, they're going to go out there and they're going to high five or shake hands or whatever. You respect the referees. You know, they never talk back to a referee. You've actually had your experience with some hecklers.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and again, you know, Brittany reacts to that, you know, and as a player, you should react to it too, but in a positive way. You know, you've actually talked to Michael Nanchoff. Michael Nanchoff plays for the Vancouver Whitecaps. And the question came up, how do you deal with the hecklers that don't like you? And he feeds off of that. It's like, it makes him want to do something better. It motivated you, you know, and that was the game, you know, you got that big goal. And it wasn't until I watched the footage, her back was turned on and she celebrated to the other parents.
Well, for anyone who does get heckled, I took it really bad because it was my first time and I wasn't expecting it. But if you think about it, it's also could be a compliment. It means they're watching you. They saw you, and they're mad that you might be burning their kid.
And you know, I'm sure, and I haven't talked to her yet. I'm sure Ashlyn from the Rockets, you know, we saw the way she played last year. I'm sure she experienced it with other players of saying, you know, watch her. You know, you're tripping, you're doing this, but she's playing soccer. You know, tripping, it happens. Don't take it personal. It's like a slide tackle. You know, to somebody who doesn't know what a slide tackle is, we talked about it early in the WSST. Yeah. You and I touched on it.
If you touch the ball first, it's not a trip.
It's not a trip. But to somebody who doesn't know the game, you're going to look at a slide tackle and say, that is one of the dirtiest moves in soccer because you're trying to completely wipe somebody out.
If you're trying to do a slide tackle and you miss the ball, it's going to be a trip, but it's not like it never happens because I've slide tackled before and I've missed the ball and it's been called, but that means that's when you got to get back, play defense, and let the game go on.
And not to come off topic, because we had you on the show and we're kind of talking about everything, and that's just how Brittany and I are. We talk about soccer. Clearly we have things in common.
All the time.
You know, some of the other things that you did do that I'll mention is you had your hands with not just Parma Travel. You did the Black Widows, which was a 3v3 tournament game. We learned something with that. That was an eye-opener. And then we also did the beach soccer. We were the Beach Warriors, which was unique because it was soccer in the sand. If you go to, Soccer in the Sand has a website. It's a fun tournament. It's up at Headlands Beach.
You go out, you play a soccer game, you might have your bathing suit on underneath, you take it off, you jump in the water.
Right, and it was a lot of fun. Even though, it was a learning experience for everybody on the team to play in this tournament. We didn't win any games, but we scored.
We scored.
Right, you got one.
Yeah.
You got a couple, I think.
Maggie got the good one.
Maggie got one. Madison scored a goal finally. But it was, if you haven't tried it, try it. It's a unique take on soccer. I think it started down in South America, and then it went from there. It spread. It really was a lot of fun. I remember you getting heat exhaustion. That was kind of But again, through these tournaments, you and the rest of your teammates that we brought in learned something.
Yeah.
We learned that learn by doing. In these tournaments, it's pass, shoot, pass, shoot, pass. It's create opportunities, and we weren't doing that before.
And plus, we tied for the first time this year, but we didn't lose any games. But in beach soccer, and for anyone who did the Black Widows, I think that might have been just
we learned how to lose, right?
We experienced loss, and that way we knew how to take it right. No one got bent out of shape. We were just having fun.
That's true.
Soccer.
That's true. So, well, thanks for coming on the show, Britt. It's
You're
a
welcome.
little overdue. We've kind of skipped around you, but I thought this was a fitting time to have you on the show in our new set that you helped me build.
It was an honor for you to have me.
It was an honor for me. Oh, boy. And I got to live with this. So, prime time. Thank you for being on the show, and we're going to head back.
Bye.
And we're back.
Nice. Okay. So we just saw a little bit about prime time. We're going to have to mention, I guess, while we have some statistics in front of us provided by Madison. All right, let's not lie. She didn't do it.
No, she didn't.
Okay.
It was me this year.
That's right. Brittany this season was one of 3 players to get a hat trick. If you don't know what a hat trick is, it's when you score 3 goals in a game. And actually, the first time that happened, Ivana scored a hat trick in the first half of the season, followed up by Izzy for the second half of the season, and Brittany then towards the end. And again, it goes back to saying she's a scoring threat now. And in fact, the second game that we played against the Phoenix, I do remember the midfield goal. She was just about on the line. You heard a huge thud.
You almost owed her some money.
Yeah, and you know what? She gets enough. So, but it was a great goal. It was an amazing goal. And one of the things that she does that I like is she started to kind of model herself with David Beckham. It's and I don't want it to sound too cheesy because everybody says, "Oh, I'm going to play like David Beckham," but I've seen her in a travel game do it. She's starting to hook her kicks. She actually scored a corner kick goal that way. And she's playing smartly. As she likes to stay on the outside, she'll drop these balls from long distance to try and set up the forwards, which is a really nice thing. So, but let's move on to the game. This was the game with the Phoenix and the Warriors. We knew it was going to happen all season long.
Yep.
The
dramatic moment.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been any more dramatic. Tie, championship.
Yeah, and in this case, it would have come down to a shootout if we tied again. And somebody was going to leave there with the championship. Fortunately for us, it was us. But of all the series, and I say this very proudly, of all the games played in this playoff series, not just the Warriors games, but everybody who played, the Rockets, the Blue Streaks, the Phoenix, the Destiny was the other team, we were the only game in the entire playoff series that was a total shutout. There were scores made against the Phoenix, against the Rockets. I can go down the whole list, but we were the only one that actually shut out our opponent when it mattered. This was the game. I knew it from the beginning of the game that, you know what, I was calm. I mean, you remember, sort of. You weren't really there, but you saw the video.
I was there in spirit.
You were there in spirit. I mean, I was not yelling. I was quiet. I says, you know what, you girls, it's up to you to do what you need to do. You know, we're all this far. The coaching's over. I'm just going to watch. And I did watch, and it was a great game. It was 0-0 for the longest time. Until Mackenzie got one, which, of course, we had to look at that footage because we thought it was Caitlin. And I think that's the one that we had to go back and say, who scored that?
Yeah.
So then we were up 1-0. Again, it was great.
You still needed a safety, though.
Yeah, they could have easily tied. I expected them to at least score one. I mean, I assumed that would happen, but I should have given more credit to Madison, Madeline, Alyssa, you know, all of our defenders, because they helped Sarah with the shutout. Sarah with unbelievable saves in this game.
Both, from what I heard, were amazing.
I don't know how she blocked some of these balls. And there was even a point that the Phoenix had their opportunity to tie. There was a penalty kick.
And it was...
They completely wide left. I mean, it didn't even go towards Sarah, but she was ready for it. And she, you know, the thing about a goalie is and this is from Coach Chad helping out, is you have to guess where the ball's going to go. There's no reaction time for a soccer kick.
You just gotta say, I'm going left,
You have to read body language. She went towards the right direction, and that was the benefit. She probably would have, if it was a little towards the net more, she probably would have still got it. But, you know, again, it didn't matter because they just missed.
Yeah.
But outstanding work by Sarah, outstanding work by the defense, and you got to say outstanding work by the offense because they kept the ball towards the front.
You got one more.
Right. As I recall this game, it started out that the Phoenix it was pretty even. The ball kept coming down, and then at some point, it was like a switch went off, and that ball was not on our side.
That is the best way to play.
Right, and it was complete. They were attacking up in the front, attack. The couple times that they were able to sail the ball down there, it got right back out again. So it was great. And then in the second half, Ivana came in. She scored another goal, and it was late enough that I actually remember looking at Coach Paul just saying, they'll score one, they're not going to score two on us. There's just no way. And so I kind of started to say at that point I knew we had it. The halftime thing was great because normally I'm let's huddle up, you know, let's get back in there. I looked at all the girls and I was just so proud of them, and all I remember is I said, girls, I got nothing. I was like, you're all doing what you need to do. I mean, there's just nothing I can tell you that you're doing wrong. In a half hour, you're going to be champions. That's all I can tell you. And everybody went out there, and the second half started, and it was beautiful gameplay. And one of the things with the Phoenix is they've got a lot of travel players. I mean, at the point that this game was played, Britt had just got started with the travel team. Becca got started with the travel team. On their side, there's Tiffany, there's Candace, there's Emily. There's a couple. Zoe Germana is another one. There's quite a few. I can't remember all their names, but it's a load of players that are on the travel team, and for us to be able to beat them, I mean, it just says a lot. I mean, we're completely 100% wreck, other than two players, and those two players are new to travel anyway.
Yeah.
And I know Emily; she's a club player.
Yeah.
You know, she's on the Whitecaps. It's huge. I mean, Livy was on Emily that whole game.
Yeah.
And I've watched the footage, and she shut her down. I mean, I'm very proud of how Livy played. That's incredible, and that's the good thing about Livy is, with the midfield, is I always have an attacking mid and a defending mid. Livy's that defending mid that you give her a mark and she's on it. And I used her like that all season. And now, looking at next year, oh, now you're falling. Looking at next year,
excited.
I know, she's so excited, she just can't control it. But looking at next year, I mean, hopefully I get you back, and I'd kind of like to see you and Brittany at midfield. But the thing is that with you, I mean, I might say, you know what, let's transition both of you to attack, and let's see how that works. Or just push you up in the front too, work with Britt, and the balls are getting, I'm not going to tell every other coach out there what we're going to do next year.
Because there are coaches who watch.
But the nice thing is that, and hopefully this year, we get you back again.
Yeah.
And we get to see doing different things, With a championship team, the odds of you staying together in rec are pretty slim.
Yeah.
I know we're going to probably lose a couple faces. We're going to gain some new ones, but we'll work with it, and we always do, and that's the beauty of it, and that's why we're requested so much. I mean, if they put everybody who wanted to be on the Warriors, it would be the Warriors versus 3 people. You know, it's a little exaggeration, but Dave has a hard time sometimes with placing players. There's always somebody who gets left out, and it's sad, but, you know, wherever you play, just play for them. It's rec. You have fun with it. So at the end of the game, in fact, this book, which was my gift from the Warriors this year, you're in here. At the end, there's a nice shot. Towards the end of the game, we're on the sidelines, and I did this in 2009. We actually all stood there just holding hands. It was the final countdown, the last couple minutes. And I remember I was going to try and sub everybody in one more time, just so, you know, it's the last game, let's get everybody in. And the ref looked at me, and he was just like, they got nothing. Just relax. You don't need to. I'm like, wow, I don't need the sub in? Is that what you're saying? So I was a little surprised, but we stood there right when the whistle blew, you know, everybody came running out. You know, I swooped prime time up, and Becca tackled me, and everybody, you know, they had a good celebration. And, you know, this is, in fact, here's our championship picture that we took. We were right in the net over there at Field 3. But, you know, we can go down the roster. There was nobody who played badly in that game.
Yeah.
And Coach Paul and I have talked about this. You know, Maya could have been a deciding factor this year, because I've never had a team that had speed like that.
She starts on one side. She sees that the players are out to score. She runs all the way there.
Right.
Doesn't let anything stand.
Snap. You know, and I've never seen that kind of movement before, and that was nice. But, you know, if we look at the whole season, we'll pull up our statistics here. The total goal scores for the entire regular season were
37.
37 goals.
2 numbers away.
That's right. We almost had 40. 37. Oh, 2 numbers away from your jersey number. Okay, I get it now. 37 goals for the season. I think that could be an all-time high. I'm not too sure. It's possible. And then for postseason, we had 4. So we broke 40, actually, if you count it all, with 3 players doing a hat trick. And let's go down the list. We may as well just say who the goal, you know, everybody wants to know who's the leading goal scorers for the season. So number 1 is?
Ivana with double the second
Double
place.
digits. 12 goals for Ivana. A tie for second, we've got
Katie and Britt.
both tied with 6. Down to third place.
Izzy with 5.
5 goals. Mackenzie, who came in with
4.
and then followed by Livy. She got 2 in there. In fact, I remember one of her goals, she did the dance, the infamous Livy dance. That was hilarious.
It was so much fun
That's
to
right.
watch.
And then pulling in with 1 goal each is?
Becca and Maya.
So, outstanding job. And then we go into, of course, postseason, where we have Mackenzie as our leader with 2 goals, and then Britt and Ivana tied with 1. So, outstanding performance. I mean, that was a great job. So I can't say congratulations enough. I mean, it was just, it was a great season, girls. You deserve the championship. Isn't that cool? I'm going to do that all season long, I swear, because we're defending champs. You know, you know, the nice thing is we do things like this. We get the shirts printed up. Awards night was pretty fancy. We actually had a couple MLS players congratulate us. Chris Korb from DC United and Michael Nanshoff from the Vancouver Whitecaps sent us a couple little greetings. Yeah, my buddy Dion over at the Force Soccer Shop, he knows everybody. He seems to help me out with these things. So, but it was great, you know, for him to put us in contact with some of these players. It just, I'm so amazed. I mean, let's see the trophy. You got to see this trophy that the girls all got this year. Look at that. I mean, we had to get a big trophy, and there's a big trophy. So, 2011 Girls Division 4 champions. Looking at the next year, you know, we got the medal. I do think that we'll be facing my buddy Kelly with the Tsunami. So, it'll be good to see 2 champions go at each other. We'll have to see who's the better one, right? And as you can see in my studio right behind me is the 2011 Warriors Division 4 Champs soccer ball signed by everybody. I do get a soccer ball from my players every year. You know, you can see I got the Spartans up here. There's their book. We will cover you guys. Don't worry. This is just a little thing for the Warriors winning. And then, of course, there's a couple more years of Warriors back there. So,
all the way back to 2009.
Right. So we will definitely be looking forward to a 2012 season. Outstanding job again, girls. I mean, like I said, I can't say enough. So, thanks for helping me out with the show.
You're welcome.
And we got to do something that, of course, Joe and I do this all the time. We always go out with that rockin' music that's done by
Jackie.
That's right. So, for WSST, I'm Craig.
This is Nick.
We will see you next time.